Hey there. So I'm getting ready to go on the Delaware River. First time. It's definitely breezy. I don't know, the winds might be 10-12 miles per hour. Don't really know. It's high tide is going to be in 2 more hours at 2:30. It is close to 12:30, so tide's not moving too fast. Although if you look into that cove there, you can see the tide's still moving in pretty good. It's May 25th, and nobody's out there. I think one boat went by, which is always a risk, really. I am going to wear my life jacket. I have a wetsuit on, and I'm going to wear a inflatable life jacket around my waist. It's got a CO2 cartridge, and usually I go at low tide. I try to go at low tide, like 2 hours before the end of low tide. This time I'm going the first time around, but you know, with low tide, let me just warn you people, if anybody plans to come out in the Delaware River in the tidal area, you know, low tide, you fall off your board, you get your feet stuck in the mud. Don't ever do a belly flop. Don't ever try to land feet first in a tidal river where you could get stuck in the mud. You don't believe me? Look on Google. You know, there's people that have sunk down to their waist, actually, in mud, that had to be rescued with a crew of people, and, you know, compressed air with a long nozzle. They're trying to shoot air down along the person's body because it'll just suck you right in. So this is like, Delaware River is very dangerous. There's people that die here every spring and early summer, jumping off the boat. They never surface. Either they're hitting something, opening up their mouth, sucking in water, or they're jumping into shallow water. They're getting stuck in the mud. They never surface. There's like, it, you know, all you gotta do is look online. So this is not for the faint of heart, and fair warning. So I'm just going to unload my board. It's cloudy today, which is nice. Breezy, I'm not too thrilled about. See, there's obstructions under the water here. At low tide, you can see all the obstructions underwater, like all the trees that have fallen. There's like a 30-inch dredging pipe along the shoreline here. That's submerged now. There's you know, these rock areas where there's drainage pipe that are draining into the Delaware. That's all submerged. So if my fin catches anything, I'm definitely, you know, going off the board. And so that's another thing. At least at low tide, you could see where the obstructions are. And then if you go in at high tide, then at least you know to avoid those areas. But right now I'm not going to know any of that, and you don't want to be like really far out away from shore, because at high tide, that's when the ships from the steel mill, the steel mill property, there's very little open at the steel mill, U.S. Steel. But that's when Kinder Morgan is up there too. That's when the container well, they're not container ships, I guess cargo ships, come down. You know, at high tide is when they come up the river, and typically, and at high tide they go back down. So the tugboats are going to create a huge wakes. So you definitely, you know, got to get on your knees, and preferably just go to shore and watch the action and just stay out of harm's way. And you can't even hear those ships coming from behind you, because right now I'm going to be going downriver 2 or 3 miles, and then I'll be paddling up. So that's the plan. Gonna head out on my knees, get to feel the river. Start my GPS watch, my Garmin. Now this is a displacement hole with no rocker, so the bottom of my board is flat. It has no rocker. It's not for riding waves, or it's not a downwind board. Handle's different in this kind of situation. Now going down, I'm probably going to be on my knees, and on the way back I'll probably be standing. And just got to keep out, look out for some submerged trees. But I'm going to stay out here pretty good, because I know there's some trees down here that were out here last fall, October, November. So right now I'm heading into the wind. Well, it's a crosswind. See these pipes here? There's one along the shoreline that's probably 75 feet long. Actually, you could see it down there, just sticking out where that flange is, which we'll be up to it in a bit. That might even be able to suck in an animal or whatever, if it's like half submerged and you got the water flow going through that pipe. I don't know. Not something you need to be around. Yeah, fighting this wind isn't fun. See, can you see the plants? You can see how shallow it is. I wouldn't even be paddling here at low tide. See the plants? And I better get further out, because where there's plants, there's tree debris. Let's see. Well, can't really touch bottom with my paddle, but still, you always got to be on the lookout for something submerged. Tree, mostly trees. You're not gonna, unless somebody sunk their boat, not gonna have much else to deal with. Over here in this little area, there's a creek back there. There's a lot of eagles that feed at low tide here. Good fishing spot. I catch a lot of large catfish right in here. It's really shallow though. It depends on what kind of boat you have, how close you could get in there. This whole side, there's no water. And this side is where the creek is at low tide. See back there, it's like all marsh. A lot of animals head back there. Wind wants to push me around. There's the creek. Couldn't get this close at low tide. Like, I'm basically going over land that would be exposed at low tide. And if you come out in the Tidal River, see, 2 hours before the end of low tide or the end of high tide is your ideal situation if you're going to be out for a while, or even an hour before the end of the tide, and then you're going to catch slack tide, which varies. If you know, the tides here are every 6 hours, give or take. Sometimes it's 5 hours, sometimes it's 7 hours. Changes, and you get the strongest tides, high tide and low tide, during a full moon, for sure. That gravitational pull, definitely very evident. You don't ever want to go out here when the tide's changing, unless you're play boating along the shoreline. See, the next cove down, which would be there, that's Sylvie's. There's a couple boat clubs here, Bristol and Edgeley boat clubs. But to the right at the end here, there's a large cove, and that's DNS boats. All right, I'm at 1.87. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to just let the wind turn me around, basically. This isn't like being in a lake. You got wave action and you got tide action. See, at low tide, I'm about 12 feet away from that buoy, because all this is land. Well, summertime in the fall. So just some last information about this area. This cove here is all mud at low tide in the summer. This dock to the left, only people with personal watercrafts use it at low tide. It's only about 18 inches deep. If you were going to use a boat, you would come down the ramp and go straight out. That side is deep enough. And you need a permit to use this boat ramp. I use it if nobody's here, like during the week. You know, if there's like a long line of boaters, you cannot go in here. First of all, you're going to get in trouble. Somebody will call one of the park guards. And the only other way to get in the river, kind of like out this way, there's a parking lot and there's ball fields, soccer fields, playground, bathrooms. You park over there and just walk through the field with your gear and enter the river down here. But to use the boat ramp, use common sense. You don't go paddling in and out of here when people are trying to put their boats in the water. Don't come here on a weekend, period. I only do after Labor Day, even maybe, you know, during the week, and on the weekends after like maybe the 2nd or 3rd week of September. Nobody's around anyway, typically, except for some die-hard fishermen. So you can see the water level up here at high tide. It's May 25th. It won't be that high in the summer. Step right off. Hope you enjoyed the tour. Thanks for watching.